we're a startup, we're pre-seed. We are raising around $500,000 to commercialize. So we're basically at the door of commercialization. I've raised about 675 thus far, and 300,000 in Canadian grants. No grants in the US yet. And we're raising the 500,000 to commercialize our product. Having a bit of an issue with that, actually. So if anybody, and I'll tell you exactly what's happened. I've never actually asked for money in the past. It just kind of flowed in. And so I'm bucketing all of that money as friends or friends of friends or friends of friends of friends who helped sell the business or the investment for me. I come from an investment banking background, but I don't come from a sales background. And for the first time, I'm in a town where I don't know anybody. I'm learning the ecosystem and making friends fast, but I'm having to sit there and actually realized last week that I need to ask them for the money. So if anyone has any, it's literally like a juggler. I don't know what you call it, this plate handler on these sticks. And I've got like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 going at the same time and trying to create this FOMO effect to get people to jump in. And I've got a couple of billionaires who've actually come to me and said, I really like your business. I'm not traditionally a agriculture or wellness-based investor, but if you find a lead investor, I'll jump in. And there's been 100,000 and 50,000 promised on that end. So if anyone has any thoughts there, would appreciate it.
I have a thought. I'm brilliant at asking people for money. So I'll come in with you, I'll ask them for money, and then we'll do a little, wookie side deal together.
That's absolutely fine. So what I'm finding here are two.
I'm ready now as well. I just sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
That's okay. I'm finding, it just kicked off another point that I wanted to make. I'm finding two types of investors. Investors who just want a return. So I've been accepted into an accelerator here in Austin, the largest one here, Capital Factory. And they're all tech investors. It's basically tech, SaaS. They're drunk on SaaS. We're HaaS, hardware as a service. So we have the tiny farm, and then we do soil subscription model with seeds. What I'm finding is a bifurcation between the investor types that I speak with. There's either the traditional investor type who's drunk on SaaS-based businesses, and all they want to do is make tons of money, and their line of questioning is along that path. Okay, oh, your hardware, because hardware always begets recurring investment, because we're going to need to update the hardware every 2.5 years or so, whereas with software there's hardly any capital investment, and so people are shying away from that. Maybe less than 15% of the entities are hardware businesses. It's very hard to raise money just because of that. So there's that investor who's traditionally software or tech, and then I've been trying to find investors who are interested in, we're not a B company, but I'd like to become a B incorporated company. Investors who are looking at a future that is circular, that is good to people. It's climate tech, clean tech, in the correct way. A lot of people claim sustainability or clean tech, but they're not. So that was that last comment, and the final thing that I wanted to ask the group was, I think I've met a CEO. So I'm the founder and CEO at the moment, and I think I've met a CEO today. I don't really want to run the company. I'm vision, and I can go deep in plants and soil biology, even though I'm a finance guy. And I start to really get energized when I talk about biophotons and energy and growing plants in an energetically optimized signature. And so I know where my place is now. I'm going to be in product innovation and product vision as founder. So the CEO I'm bringing on, that I think I'm going to bring on board after today's meeting, after the third meeting, how much should I give him? And I really wanted a woman, actually, to tell you the truth. I think when get the business, my target persona is mothers who garden for food and eat organically. This gentleman eats organically, but he's been a 3-time CEO and he's raised money in the past. How much should I give him? And any thoughts on anything else that I should be aware of? Thank you.
Great question.
May I just speak to the bifurcation of the investor types? And it's not much. It's just validating that, yes, this is for those of us who are pioneering new products and new services based upon new and desirable regenerative futures that we're visioning for society, for the planet. We essentially require, by the nature of what we're doing, by its essential nature, we are requiring value-aligned investors.
100%.
Most investors, though, even some of those who are value-aligned, are still so entrenched, systemically entrenched within the actual economic structures to which they're bound, that they have to almost operate out of that, am I getting a tenfold return, whereas returns on investment or ecological returns on investment, multiple funding rounds, etc. They don't come in, like you said, they just have to or want to make lots and lots of money very, very quickly. Even if somewhere inside they're principally value aligned, right? So
and I will just add that my financial model is super extensive, and it's nothing short of a pretty, there's going to be returns in the business. My prime directive, we're a triple or a quadruple bottom line company. Our prime directive isn't to make billions and billions of dollars. That's not what I lead with. We lead with, we're going to make the world a better place and feed the most, everybody, even the most at-risk communities, the purest food. That is how we're pushing forward.
Personally, if there were certain things that I could do differently, I mean, this is just a ridiculous hypothesis, because everything would change it, with the butterfly's wings and all that. But as the old adage goes, if I could do certain things differently, some of the investors I would actually lead with, I'm going to make you and I a shit ton of money, right?
Yeah.
Marketing, yeah. Joshua, you may appreciate it. You said with marketing, you've got to meet the customer where they're at. If I start talking to the customer about, deep Christian esotericism or Gnosticism or something, I'll lose them at the first letter, right? So I have to meet them where they're at and then bring them slowly towards that, Beautiful. Right? Why we're not doing the same with investors to get their capital? The investor might not give two shits about, saving the world. Get their money and then save the world.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, but I kind of look at it both ways. I think they're people too. Investors do have that mindset of like, is it going to give them the return? And that's the bottom line in any situation with the investment capital. But there is the cause that can really drive that. And there's other forms of funding now, like crowdfunding and different ways that people are doing hybrid scenarios. A lot of people these days are doing at least a certain percentage crowdfunding, right? Which is the completely different model compared to traditional venture capital. And that could be kind of what you're talking about, is like a newer form that we're talking in regards to how we can potentially see regenerative finance essentially as well. So I know, Nikki, you have your hand up. If you if you're still want to share something. I'm not sure if it was from before or now, but
I'm really excited about this call, and I'm really grateful for the past capitalistic and regenerative entrepreneurship experience I'm able to bring to the table and share. One thing that I would highly recommend also as an alternative, which is extremely is coming out pretty successful on my side, at least. And going into my new business, I am pitching a handful of investors that are aligned intrinsically and extrinsically. But what we did is, instead of hiring another CEO, because I will tell you, in my experience, if it's not the visionary as the CEO, at least in the foundings and beginnings until it's established and is holding their vision, they're wary of it often. That being said, and I hate that, by the way, because I just want to get back to my art. Really, I just want to get back to my art. But with that too, do not forget, if you are an American business, if you're doing a business on, in this part of Turtle Island, you actually have access, especially when it's around agriculture and food systems, to billions and billions of dollars right now of grant funding from the government that Joe Biden signed as a part of the what everybody was coining the new Green Deal, but it's a climate action thing that was passed last year with tens of billions of dollars available, and they hand that out to the people that can implement it. So if your business can help people, like the person doing edible gardens and so forth, you're actually encouraging the outcomes that they're doing, and you can get money for that. But there are tons of grants available from the government and lots of foundations and organizations that are supporting this. But also, we are walking into our new structure with 1.8 million pledged in ESG sponsorships. So these are companies that have some sort of connection to the mission that are sponsoring us for the goodwill exposure, and in our case, organic access to some of our stakeholders, not predatory access, but organic access. And I'll just use in my example, we're working with restaurants to sell meals forward that can go to people in the community that need them, who are approved on the app as a qualified recipient by that local charity. And so there's a lot of these companies that are doing greener services now, and want to offer their products to the restaurants, and that would be a part of like a welcome package. Here, some things you can get, like whatever. But that brings in the regenerative financing, where you're not taking out, you're having money come in, whether or not you have investors. So if you can find any viable way to create a sponsorship package, that's another source of revenue for you, and less reliance and potential need on investors in general. Like we're probably only going to need to raise 200,000 on the other side of this if they all follow through with their word. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there as an option as well. Yeah, those two things.
Thanks, Nikki.
I'd like to say bye-bye.
Thanks, Hoda. For
I may.
You had to leave a little bit early.
Yeah,
but it
I
was good to
I
have
have to drop off. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, and I look forward to next month's meeting. And Ammar, I really, really, really feel like everything. I mean, I back you up on everything you just said, Nikki, and also the crowdfunding model that you mentioned, Joshua. I think this would fly through the roof with the right, correctly marketed and targeted crowdfunding campaign. And it'll be such a success story. You'll have the investors pounding on your door, throwing their money at you, saying, please take me as your investor to take this to scale.
That is actually the plan.
Great on
Yeah,
this.
that is actually the plan. But
Excellent stuff. Great minds and all that, right?
Yep.
Thanks, Hoda.
You need the first 100K to get there.
That's right. That's right. I've reached out to you.
Bless. See you soon. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Amar, yeah, I on getting the lead investor, have you revisited the ones that have earmarked at all, and see if anybody is willing to be a lead?
So I do have access to quite a deep list of investors through the accelerator. So people like John Mackey, but he's not actually an investor. So I'm chasing up a couple of leads, and one person, a crypto billionaire, actually said yes. I'm interested. This is somebody separate. I just met him at a keto conference about a month ago, and within a minute of pitching him, he said, "What's your valuation?" And I don't really have a valuation, but I gave him a cap, and then he came in to see the product, and then we went out to lunch after that. So we've had 3 meetings. But none of those did I ask for the money, but he knows I'm looking for the money. And he said something to me that really almost took me aback. He goes, you're doing good. And the 500,000 that you're looking for, I'd give it to you. And if I never heard from you, I wouldn't even care because of the good that you're doing. But we're going to make people money. That's not the case here. And I just realized that I've never actually asked him. So now he's traveling, and I'm trying to look for a way in to get in that question, which I don't want to do on text. So I'm trying to get him on a Zoom call, but I'm having limited success doing that. So anyway, so I'm on the hunt for an investor. I'm on the hunt for a lead investor in the space. And interestingly, when I was just connecting with Huda on LinkedIn, Zach Bush is one of his organization is backing, advising my organization. And even Kiss the Ground movement we have the strategic advisor to the Kiss the Ground movement sitting as my soil scientist. So we've got a whole bunch of very interesting, and Elaine Ingham is also, we're now forming a partnership with my soil company, and Elaine Ingham actually sits on the board of that soil company. So I've got the who's who on this side, and now it's just a matter of finding someone who recognizes this and can write a check, or 2 or 3 people can write a check for $500,000.
I think
so.
so.
It's
just because crowdfunding's come up, and you said that that's the plan. How far along that plan timeline are you? I mean, it seems like, because you and I have met at, you might not remember me, but we met I believe in, oh gosh, it doesn't matter where it was some time ago. My last startup or groups of companies were in vertical farming and indoor agriculture. So I actually met you when your product was just coming out of its last prototype stage, and saw your product, and we talked it was years ago though, probably like 6 or 7 years ago or something like that.
Okay, so it was probably one of my earlier prototypes.
Yes, for sure. I remember it. Yeah. Wow. So I guess my question is, so I've met with 3 crowdfunding platforms over the last 6 months or so. Our product's a little too big and complicated. We haven't been able to figure it out collectively how we would run a crowdfunding campaign. So we're going into revenues instead, which obviously seems like a simple solution, but it's obviously complicated and a little painful in some places for one of the companies, sorry. But I know that the budgets, according to all the meetings that I've had, the budgets associated to do a successful crowdfunding campaign aren't necessarily excessive. I've been informed that, anywhere in the $8,000 to $12,000 range typically can run you a successful campaign. Are you guys there? Have you decided, or are you opposed to it? Is there a hang up? Is it just a lack of the budget to do that? Why have you not done it yet?
Yeah, great question. So here's the plan. In my mind, the budget that I need is at least 100,000. The one thing that I'm missing is product market fit. I haven't produced 3 or 4 units of the tiny farm and hand it over to a customer, and the customer is taking a selfie and saying, this is a product I cannot live without. We haven't just done that. I need $200,000 for that. And that's where the 500 number comes in. So $200,000 to get the product to the next level, and $300,000 or $200,000 to push marketing for crowdfunding. And this is just to ensure that we have a 7-figure crowdfunding campaign. And the extra 100,000 would be contingency to begin to build a team and to do the necessary travel. I've got podcasts lined up. I've got 3 major podcasts that I'm working on that we would launch on the day the Kickstarter campaign basically takes off. So we're almost there. And I've got, Zach Bush's organization, Mike Adams, these guys all are major influencers. I just got invited to meet with Dr. Michael Greger, who he's an MD vegan, very popular, and also Dave Asprey, into a 40-person VIP thing, but it's $3,000. If I could list the number of people who want just $2,000, just $3,000, just with, my lawyers, it's just a massive list. And so I just can't take out. So anyway, we're there. I do need some money in. So if I just get 200, we'll start the engines and we'll go, and I'll cut a deal with my manufacturing company. And I'll say, listen, you got to come in and make an investment and hold back some of your fee so that I can go do some of the other things. And then I'll pay you on the back end. And here's my plan. So, yeah.
I'm glad you're considering it. I think it's a great product for crowdfunding.
I'm being chased. I'm being chased by Indiegogo. Indiegogo has been thing, but we're going to do it. We're going to go with Kickstarter. I just like their philosophy and their approach and all that. So we're going to do it with those guys.